Hi, my name is April Song,
And I'm Annie Ernest.
and we looked at Piaget and Vygotsky's theories. Here's our table of contents.
So, a little bit about Piaget's life. He was a Swiss philosopher, born in the late 1800s, and he lived through the 1900s. He was a psychiatrist as well as a professor in psychology, sociology, and philosophy. He also served as the director of the International Bureau of Education, as well as being the founder of the International Center for Genetic Epistemology. He's really well known for adding into education intellectual development, roots of knowledge, schemas, as well as the stages of cognitive development, which is what we'll be looking into today. And that's just kind of the idea that children's intelligence undergoes changes as they grow. He also brought to the table discovery learning, problem solving, and stage-based learning. So the four cognitive stages of development are the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational, and we'll look more into each one of these specifically in the next slides. So the first stage is sensory motor. This is from when a child's born to when they're 2 years old. And this is really has an emphasis on senses and actions. So the child's really taking in everything that they're seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, everything. They might try to put a lot of things into their mouth or touch a lot of things just to kind of explore the world around them. The next stage is pre-operational, and this is 2 to 7 year olds. So like early elementary school, preschool age. This is really when the language and mental images really start beginning, as well as thinking of things symbolically. Memory and imagination also really begin to expand at this age. The next stage is concrete operational, and this is 7 to 11 years old. And this is when logical and concrete reasoning begin, as well as understanding their place in relation to others and societies, to kind of understanding the world around them, as well as how they fit into the world around them. And then the last stage is formal operational stage. This is from when the child is 12 for the rest of their life. This is hypothetical and abstract thinking, as well as scientific reasoning, and all of this continues to grow as the child grows and as they grow into an adult. So we will show you a quick video of how Piaget's stages of cognitive development deal with problem solving. In this scenario, how they would deal with spilling a cup of water.
Mom, can you come help me?
Now moving on to Vygotsky's. So Lev Vygotsky founded the social cultural theory, which examines how social interactions influences cultural development. And to support this theory, he outlined basic tenets, including scaffolding, the idea of the zone of the proximal development, and importance of language. So we'll look at those in detail. So scaffolding is a way to teach that involves guidance and structured frameworks to aid in the learning instead of just like throwing someone out in the wild. These are like little like guidance ways. So for example, modeling or showing demonstrations, providing feedback every once in a while, adding supplementary questions to evoke thinking, providing helpful hints to help you get to the right answer, providing like tools like visual aids, giving you like guided reading questions, connecting what you're learning to prior knowledge to make it make sense in your head, and providing real world examples to solidify the information. The second tenet was this idea of the zone of proximal development, which means that there's a gap between what the individuals can do independently at this current state and what the individual will be able to achieve through assistance and guidance. So it's like their potential. And the gap between them is your zone of proximal development, and it's where you should teach someone or where that learning should take place, according to Vygotsky's theory. Lastly, he looked at how language, the power of language, as both an internal and external tool to help speed up development among children. So he outlined two important functions of language, which were how adults can relay and communicate important information to children. And secondly, children use language to make sense of the world around them and the things that they're being taught. So he came up with three kind of major examples of language. So social speech is a form of external communication. So an example is like having a conversation with someone else. Private speech is when you're younger, so like a 3-year-old talking to himself as he tries to make sense of something, like playing with a toy. The last category is diminishing private speech, which is instead of saying something out loud to yourself, you are having silent speech. So you can just think it all about in your head. So for example, a 5th grader solving a math problem, he probably doesn't need to like say it out loud. He can just think it in his head. So here's an example of scaffolding, which is one of the basic tenets of Vygotsky's theory, as I teach Annie how to draw a tree.
Okay, so today we're gonna learn how to draw a tree. I don't know how to do that. I've never done it before. It's okay, we can take it step by step. Okay. So first, you should draw 2 vertical lines for the trunk. Okay, like this. Yeah, that's perfect. Now let's do the green marker and do little ruffles for the leaves around the top. Okay. Does this look okay? Oh, that looks so good. One step at a time. Now, to top it off, let's draw some apples on the tree. Okay. It's just little red circles. Are those apples right? Yes, that's perfect. You did such a great job. Thank you so much. I never thought I'd know how to draw a tree like this. You have great potential. It just needed a little bit of guidance.
So those tenets of Vygotsky's theory can be applied in the real world. So for example, in a classroom, you could have a shift in conventional teaching methods. Instead of having more recitation based, so like you teach somebody something and they recite it back to you, you could have more like student-centered, something that focuses on the like mastery of the current state of the children. Second is you could equip parents, which are a huge part of a child's development, with learning strategies that involve like techniques like scaffolding to improve that child's development. And lastly, you could take advantage of all of the zones of proximal development. So if you put together students with different levels of mastery, different levels of prior knowledge, they can learn from each other and they can foster those interactions. So a very specific example of Vygotsky's theory in the real world is this journal article talking about how this program called the Early Head Start program, the researchers used Vygotsky's theory to study how social cultural interactions between parent and child can affect language development. And they discovered that parents who were knowledgeable in various learning activities, they were better mentors for development, which show that cognitive development programs can use parents as a resource in promoting development.
So these theories are really similar, but they also have their differences. So specifically Piaget's theory, he really categorized the stages of development as discrete. So like there's a large difference between each different stage, as well as he puts more emphasis on age-related conflicts, as well as focuses on how the child interacts with the environment, which this point is much different than Vygotsky's theory.
And Vygotsky's theory views the stages as more continuous and less discrete. It puts in a greater emphasis on things like language, the zone of proximal development, and scaffolding, and it emphasizes heavily on social cultural factors.
So although the theories do have their own differences, they're a little bit similar because they both focus on development of children with an emphasis on active learning. And genetic development perspective is also is an important factor that both of the theories have, as well as they both focus on qualitative changes over time rather than quantitative changes. So our key takeaways for Piaget's theory of cognitive development, the most important thing is the 4 stages of cognitive development that we went over. So sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. And again, these are from birth to ages 12, and then pre-operation or formal operational goes just for the rest of their lives.
And then Vygotsky's theory emphasized the importance of social interactions in culture and cognitive development, and they used tenets like the zone of proximal development, scaffolding, and language to support this.
And then just to re-emphasize the way that these theories relate to each other, they're similar in the focus on child development, active learning, and teaching techniques, but they differ because Piaget's theory relies more on the child's interaction with their environment, while Vygotsky's relies more on social and cultural aspects of development.
And here are our references for our images and for our content and our AI usage attestation form. Thank you.